The budget on this movie was 22 million. The box office was just over 72 million. So about 16 million more dollars, and they would have quadrupled the budget. I guess that's good, so to say. I gotta say, most of the reviews and percentage ratings from these different sources don't surprise me. There's actually a couple of them that do surprise me a bit. Now, why do I say that? Because this is a remake film, and we know most people generally don't give remakes a chance, no matter what genre it is, whether it be action or horror or anything else. So, why did the mouse freeze on me? Hold up a second. I'm sorry, 1 second. Okay, there we go. Now, Frank Martin is living a less perilous lifestyle, or so he thinks, transporting classified packages for questionable people. Things get complicated when femme fatale Anna and her three accomplices orchestrate a bank heist and the kidnapping of Frank's father. It's all part of a grand plan to take down the human trafficker who's victimized her years earlier. Now, a pawn in her vengeful scheme, the former Special Operations mercenary must use his covert skills to play Anna's dangerous game. The film came out in 2015. Rotten Tomatoes gave this film a 16%. Doesn't surprise me. It's a remake, people don't give it a chance. Internet Movie Database gave it a 52. I guess that's kind of a little bit above what I expected from them. I was thinking they'd probably give it a 40, 45 at best. Google users gave it 58 to 72%. Google users, their reviews just kind of, wide range. Roger Ebert gave it 1.5 out of 4. So that's 15 out of 40, 30 out of 80, so 3 out of 8. Yeah, so still less than good. Now, Common Sense Media, this is where it surprised me a little bit. So Common Sense Media gave it a 20%. 4 kids, 3 adults commented it. The kids gave it a 60%, a little bit better than I thought. And the parents actually gave it an 80%, which is actually kind of in line with where I think of the movie. Now, I give it an 8 out of 10. I think that the film was great. I think it was good. It just wasn't as great as the first 3 films. And I don't say that simply because it's a remake. I just say it because of the sequence of events and what took place and how they took place. And the fight scenes I think were good, but some scenes might have been a little bit cheesy, a little bit cheesier compared to the first 3 films. So Common Sense Media says, is it any good? On paper, it might have been an attractive idea for Luke Besson to resurrect the Transporter series, but without Jason Statham in the lead and giving a general carelessness, the movie is out of gas. Instead of Statham, this film gives us Ed Skrein, recognizable mainly due to a few episodes of Game of Thrones as Frank Martin. He's handsome, he's fit, and he has some chin scruff, but he has none of Statham's personality and never comes to life on screen. Of course, he's not helped much by the lazy screenplay or by Camille Delamar's hopelessly lost direction. Frank never seems to be looking at the road while he's driving, and the overly choreographed fight scenes have thugs simply walking into his punches. Okay, that part I can kind of maybe agree with, because like I said, the fight scenes weren't as impressive in this one. Jason Statham was really doing it in the other films. Perhaps worse, in a movie about eradicating prostitution, is the fact that there are dozens of scantily clad women objectified and on gratuitous display. In this entire mess, only Stevenson as Frank Sr. has any charm. This is one for the scrap heap. Families can talk about this film's violence. Does it feel exciting or brutal? The brutal part I think outweighs the exciting part because, like I said, it was kind of exciting, but it just didn't bring about that same thrill as I keep saying the first few films did. Now that I've completed this franchise, I can say I think the second and third films were the best. I would have to say if I had to slightly edge out one of them more than the other, I would kind of lean towards the second one being my favorite. The first 3 movies I would definitely buy on YouTube. I'm glad I had a chance to watch the first 2 for free when they were on Hulu. So that is, overall, I'm not going to sit here and say Ed Skrein didn't do a good job. I'm not going to sit here and say that the directors and the producers really messed up or that they didn't know what they were doing. This is where I have mixed thoughts because I'm of the belief that when you do a remake film, most of it is going to be the same and most of it is going to line up to what the originals were. In some cases, there's going to be some tweaks around the edges. There's going to be some altercations or alternatives. I don't know how I'm saying that right. I can't talk right now. But there's going to be some differences. And I think the violence was a little bit less in this one. There's slightly less violence. There was still some blood and gore, just not a lot. But I would say probably the most exciting part of the film was when he drove the plane under. Spoiler alert. Sorry about that. Videos unorganized. It kind of gave that Fast and Furious type feel to it, where the plane was going before it took off. He drove the car underneath the plane. They opened up the bottom of it. They had the man and the woman jump out into the car. I felt like that was a pretty thrilling scene. I'm not going to say that this was the best movie of all time. I also think it's far, far from the worst film of all time, as far as action movies go. But anybody who's a fan of the action thriller genre and anybody who's a fan of the Transporter series, overall, I would say that I think this is a good watch. Because what is it? The first film I gave 9 out of 10. The second and third films both got a 9.5, and this one gets an 8. So it did not beat the other films by any means, but otherwise I thought it was enjoyable. Ed Skrein did a good job. I don't know if Jason Statham and then plan on doing more Transporter movies, but if they do, I'll be in theaters to see it. So if you saw this film, you tell me what you think about it, and you tell me how you feel about the Transporter franchise. What other franchises would you compare this to in terms of thrills, action, suspense? And if you have any ideas for any other movies or shows that you think I should cover, don't hesitate to put it in the comment section. And as I always say, go to my About section. All the links to my socials are there. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. It's all there. So that's all I have for now. Stay tuned.